The rain poured relentlessly that October evening, turning the city park into a blur of reflections and shadows. Most people had fled, but Daniel Westbrook didn't notice. He was used to walking alone, thinking only of spreadsheets, profits, and deadlines. That night, though, he saw her, a young woman hunched on a wet bench, cradling a tiny newborn in her arms, shivering and exhausted. Something inside him stirred, a sensation he hadn't felt in years: concern, compassion, instinct. He could have kept walking, focused on his own life, but instead, he stopped. And that choice would change 3 lives forever. The rain fell in steady sheets, drumming on the asphalt and bouncing off the glass skyscrapers of the city. Washington Park, usually bustling with joggers and dog walkers, had emptied, leaving puddles, wet leaves, and streaked street lamp light. The storm had chased everyone indoors, everyone except Daniel Westbrook. At 39, Daniel was CEO of Westbrook Financial Group, a firm his father had founded and he had transformed into an empire. Dark brown hair neatly styled, charcoal gray suit perfectly tailored, he walked with the precision and purpose of a man who measured life in numbers, not emotions. For him, sentiment was a weakness. Compassion a distraction. Emotions were liabilities. His world was logic and profit. Tonight, like most nights, he had stayed late at the office reviewing quarterly reports. His driver had offered a ride, but Daniel waved him off. Walking cleared his mind. He didn't mind the rain. That he was lost in projections when movement near a bench under a flickering street lamp caught his attention. That he almost kept walking. The instinct to ignore, to remain detached, was strong. That was Daniel's life for the last decade: business first, feelings second, if at all. Yet some buried part of him he had long forgotten, made him pause. There she was. A young woman hunched over, shielding something in her arms. Her clothes clung to her soaked body. Her dark hair hung in wet strands around her face. But it was the infant wrapped in a dark red blanket that made his chest tighten. She was nursing the baby, trying to keep her child fed while sitting exposed to the relentless rain. Daniel's first thought: call help. Second, keep walking. But his feet remained planted in the wet grass. The woman looked up. Her hollow eyes, sharp with fear, met his. I'm not going to hurt you, he said softly. You're sitting in the rain with a baby. Are you okay? Her jaw tightened, holding the infant tighter. We're fine. Please leave us alone. They were not fine. The woman's lips were blue. Her hands trembled. The baby made tiny whimpers beneath her blanket. When did you last eat? Daniel asked. That's none of your business, she said. You're nursing a child in a storm. It absolutely is my business. Silence. The fear in her gaze was sharp. After a long pause, she whispered, Melissa. Melissa Torres. I live nearby. You can get warm. You can eat. Let me help. Tears mixed with rain streaked her face. I don't have anything to give you. I'm not asking for anything. You and the baby need safety. That's all. Her voice cracked, exhaustion bleeding through. Why? Daniel paused. Why? He had spent years asking the same question. Why help strangers when logic said otherwise? Yet he couldn't turn away. I don't know. I just know you can't stay here. Finally, she nodded. Not for herself, but for the baby in her arms. Daniel removed his jacket and draped it over both of them, ignoring the ruin of his expensive suit. Can you walk? He asked, shaky. She rose, and he steadied her gently. Together, they crossed the rain-slick streets toward his building. The doorman looked, widened his eyes, then said nothing. Good evening, Mr. Westbrook, he muttered. Inside the elevator, Daniel studied Melissa. She looked younger than he thought, maybe 23, 24. Her clothes, soaked and muddy, had once been professional attire. And there was a dignity in the way she held herself. Even at her lowest point, her baby stirred, making tiny cooing sounds. "How old is she?" Daniel asked. 3 weeks. "Her name is Hope," Melissa replied with a small, weary smile. Daniel led them to his penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, walls adorned with expensive art, an empire of wealth and control. He motioned her toward the guest room. "Take a shower, get dry, change. I'll find something for you to wear and make food." "I can't, you can. Guest room is yours. Second door on the right. I'll check in 20 minutes. Melissa clutched Hope tightly, exhausted, and finally nodded. Daniel called Mrs. Chen, his longtime housekeeper. "I need women's clothes, small, comfortable, and baby supplies, diapers, formula, bottles, everything for a newborn. Can you bring them in the morning?" "Of course, Mr. Westbrook," Mrs. Chen replied without question. He dug out clothes his ex-wife had left years ago, setting them outside the guest bathroom. Then he cooked a simple pasta dinner, a rare act of domesticity. 40 minutes later, Melissa emerged from the guest room. Showered, wearing soft gray sweatpants and a white t-shirt, she looked transformed, if still wary. Hope, freshly swaddled in a towel, blinked up at him. "I made pasta," he said. "It's nothing fancy, but it's hot." Melissa sat slowly, eating cautiously at first, then with growing hunger. Daniel held Hope while she ate, discovering a strange, unfamiliar comfort in cradling the tiny infant. After dinner, they sat together, Melissa nursing Hope while Daniel watched. "What happened?" he finally asked. Melissa's story spilled out: a legal secretary working hard, abandoned by her boyfriend, complications during childbirth, let go by her firm, evicted, and forced into the streets with her newborn. She had tried family and friends, but no one could help long-term. She'd walked the city for hours, searching for warmth and safety. Daniel listened, pain knotting his chest. Empathy, real empathy, rose in him, unbidden. "I have 3 spare bedrooms," he said finally. "You and Hope stay until you get back on your feet." Melissa shook her head. "It's too much. You don't know me. I'll get to know you. You deserve safety, warmth, and a home. That's what matters." Weeks passed. Mrs. Chen brought clothes and supplies. Daniel hired legal help to aid Melissa with benefits and workplace disputes. One bedroom became a nursery. Slowly, his life changed. He came home earlier. He laughed. He held Hope, tracked milestones, and even left work with a new purpose. Melissa rebuilt her life. A supportive firm hired her, offering maternity benefits. She saved money and regained confidence. Yet she never felt rushed. Daniel had made it clear they were welcome for as long as they needed. Daniel found something he had forgotten existed: human connection. Compassion. Joy. Love, in its most understated form. In the same park, under a golden autumn sun, Hope toddled between them, giggling as she chased butterflies. Melissa smiled that night. "It saved us," she whispered. "No," Daniel corrected gently. "You saved yourselves. I just stopped walking." Melissa took his hand. "Sometimes that's enough." Daniel looked at them, Melissa and Hope, and knew he had changed. Wealth, status, and power were the same, but meaning had returned. Success was no longer measured in numbers but in lives touched, hearts warmed, hope renewed, all because he stopped walking that night, all because he chose to care. The rain had washed away the old Daniel Westbrook. And in its place stood a man who understood the true measure of life.